Today, we're going to learn about fluency. When readers read fluently, they enjoy it more and they can dedicate more effort to comprehension. This module will focus on specific tutoring techniques used to help learners develop the 4 components of reading. In this module, we will explore 3 things. First, understanding what the tutor and learner are trying to accomplish with instruction in this component. Second, identifying and practicing specific teaching strategies to use with learners. And lastly, locating where the new instruction and teaching strategies fit into a lesson plan. Although we will address the components of reading instruction in a specific order, that doesn't mean the skills must be taught in the same order. You will find that when working with the learner, the instruction moves around from one component to another, and many activities you do with your learner will work on more than one reading skill. The learning objectives for this presentation include identify and describe the skills included in fluency, learn how to select fluency materials, learn who needs fluency practice, demonstrate understanding of 6 fluency teaching strategies, and understand where fluency fits into the lesson plan. So what is fluency? Simply put, it is the speed and ease with which we read and has 3 components: speed, accuracy, and expressiveness. When we are fluent, reading sounds like speech, just like how I'm talking to you now. Let's look at some new terminology that will help you as we discuss fluency. Independent reading level. This means a learner can read a passage alone with ease, without making errors, and with good comprehension. Typically, the learner would be able to quickly and accurately decode 95% or more of the words and understand almost all of the text. Instructional reading level. This means the passage will be challenging for a learner to read, but not frustrating. The challenge allows the learner to stretch and develop decoding, fluency, and comprehension skills. Typically, a learner would be able to quickly and accurately decode 90 to 95% of the words and understand approximately 80% of the text. Frustration reading level. Well, with reading material at this level, the learner is going to have real difficulty. As a result, he or she is likely to become frustrated rather than challenged. This characterizes any passage where the learner is able to accurately decode less than 90% of the words and understand less than 80% of the text. So why is fluency important? Well, first, it improves comprehension. Fluent readers recognize words automatically without thinking about them. This allows fluent readers to focus their efforts on comprehension. Fluent readers also read with proper emphasis, rhythm, and inflection. These characteristics of spoken language add to meaning, but printed text doesn't include them. Fluent readers are able to engage with the text to add emphasis, rhythm, and inflection, and this can lead to better comprehension. Improving reading fluency also increases self-confidence in reading. Practicing fluency by reading aloud provides a tangible measure of reading improvement. It is easy to hear themselves getting better, and this can increase self-confidence. Finally, being a fluent reader makes reading more enjoyable. When you enjoy reading, when it is easy for you, you do it more often. Reading more improves your ability to decode, exposes you to more vocabulary, and gives you practice applying comprehension skills and strategies in a variety of contexts. Assessing fluency is important because it's an easy way to show learners that they're making progress. It's also pretty easy to do. We've provided a handout called Fluency Assessment to help you out. It really is a simple measurement. You ask a learner to read a passage, you count up how many words were read correctly, and you divide the amount of time it took the learner to read the passage. One easy way to do this is to have readers read for 1 minute and then count the number of words they read in that time. Otherwise, you can have them read the entire passage and divide the number of words by the time it took. We're looking here for a words per minute calculation. When we start measuring fluency, it's common that learners want to know how they did. What is normal or average or how they compare to others? It's important to answer the question, but also to reinforce that these reading passages are for practice, and they will get better as they go. On this slide, we see the reading rates expected at various grade levels. It's interesting to note that the table doesn't show oral reading rates beyond the 8th grade level, because no matter how fluent we are, when we read aloud, we do not read faster than at the 8th grade level. Research shows that one of the best ways to improve fluency is through guided, repeated oral reading techniques. These techniques have one or more of these characteristics. The tutor models fluent reading for the learner. The tutor and the learner read together. The tutor provides guidance and correction, and the learner repeats the reading until an acceptable level of fluency is reached. For the rest of this presentation, we're going to learn some guided repeated oral reading techniques. We've also provided a handout called Fluency Activities to help you out. You'll likely want to use part of the reading passage from the lesson with your learner to help practice fluency. Because fluency activities don't require additional reading material, specific fluency activities are not generally included in learner workbooks. You'll want to plan for this type of exercise at the end of each lesson. The first exercise is called echo reading. To do this, you are going to 1. Select material that is short and at the learner's instructional reading level. 2. Read the first sentence aloud, modeling proper pace and phrasing. 3. Ask the learner to read the same sentence aloud after you. 4. Continue to the end of the passage. 5. Go back to the beginning and follow the same pattern. As the learner improves, expand the amount of text you model and the range of emotion, emphasis, and rhythm. Modeled reading is basically reading aloud to learners. The learner should have a copy of what you're reading, and for this exercise, it's okay if the passage is at a slightly higher level than you would normally use, but the learner does need to be able to follow along easily. For modeled reading, you as a tutor does not have to be the reader. You may choose to use a recording or an audiobook, so long as the learner has the written words in front of them in order to follow along. DYAD or choral reading is reading aloud together. The passage that you are reading should be at the learner's reading level. If you find that the learner is reading along confidently, you can stop and let them continue on their own. But if they stumble over a word, quickly provide it and start reading with them again. At the end of the passage, if your reader is reading confidently, you can ask 1 or 2 comprehension questions. Learners should see their comprehension improving as their fluency improves. The question should be factual, not something that requires inference or intuition. If you're reading, for instance, Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, a comprehension question could be, what color was the lamb's fleece? Duet reading or neurological impress. This is a more advanced exercise. It uses a passage that is on the high end of the learner's reading level. If you're going to do this exercise, explain to them that this is supposed to be difficult. You're going to start to read the article out loud together. They may not be able to keep up, but that's okay. The purpose is to practice recognizing words as quickly as possible. When you've completed the passage, ask the learner how they felt about the activity. How did they feel as they were trying to keep up? Was it helpful for them to know that it was okay not to be able to keep up? Next, you're going to read the same passage aloud with your learner again. And once you've done it a second time, you'll do it a third time. After the third time, ask your learner if they were able to recognize words more easily and quickly the more frequently we read it together. It is important to note that when you are choosing a passage for this exercise, the learner should not be able to read it fluently through the first time. If they can, then it's probably too easy. But if they can't keep up at all, then the level is too difficult. The previous exercises we looked at were more comprehension than the next two we're going to do. These activities are smaller in scale and emphasize how emotion and meaning are conveyed in fluent reading. In the first activity, Say It Like You Mean It, it shows learners how meaning changes depending on what you emphasize when you read a sentence. They would read the same sentence but emphasize a different word each time and thus change the meaning of the sentence. For instance, let's take the sentence, I never said you hit my car. The meaning changes depending on which word you emphasize. Listen as I say it, emphasizing a different word each time. I never said you hit my car. The speaker is implying they didn't say it, but someone else did. I never said you hit my car. The speaker is denying the statement completely. I never said you hit my car. The speaker is contesting that they said you hit they said you hit the car, implying maybe they may have conveyed such a statement in other ways. I never said you hit my car. The speaker confirms making the statement, but it was about someone else. I never said you hit my car. The speaker is implying the person did something else to their car. I never said you hit my car. The speaker is saying the person hit someone else's car. I never said you hit my car. The speaker is saying the person hit something that belonged to the speaker, but it wasn't their car. In the next activity, Roll It, you're going to choose 6 sentences and 6 emotions. You can either roll a dice to choose which sentence and emotion you are to try, or you can put numbers on a piece of paper and have the learner pick the number, both for the sentence and the emotion. Let's see what that looks like on the next slide. Here we have 6 sentences and 6 emotions. If your learner was to roll the dice or pick the number, say number 1 for the sentence and number 6 for the emotion, tired, you would practice together what that would sound like. It may sound something like this. I don't know what I'm going to do. This exercise will likely lead to a few laughs as you try to evoke emotion for each of the sentences above. Let's pick number 4 and for the sentence and number 1 for the emotion. It may sound something like, have a great day. It's important that we mix more difficult exercises with some of these shorter games to make instruction more enjoyable for both yourself and your learner. We are now at the end of this module. Let's see what we learned in this presentation. We learned the 3 components of fluency: speed, accuracy, and prosody. We looked at who needs fluency practice. Everyone. We also noted when in the lesson you should do fluency practice. At the end, after learners have become familiar with the reading passage. We also looked at 3 terms for reading level and what they mean. Independent, learners can read on their own with ease. Instructional, learners can accurately decode 90 to 95% of the words and understand 80%. Or frustration level, learners can accurately decode less than 90% of the words. We appreciate your time and interest in learning about fluency. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to the tutor coordinator at your council or to us here at Lubbock Literacy New Brunswick. Thank you and have a great day.